Welcome to my latest adventure, York, Western Australia. I've just headed out around behind Mount Bakewell and down Mokine Road. I just wanted to go out and have a bit of explore. A beautiful day, 19 degrees. The first stop was the shed that I'd spotted driving down the highway one other time, so I stopped for a quick stickie, and the bike looks quite impressive out the front. Headed out into the dirt roads further afield, and there's a nature reserve that I've hiked around up here, so I thought I'd go for a ride and see where the road led to. There's lots of little tracks that you can take a quick spin off. I didn't actually ride that fast. I've sped this bit up so it's not too boring. This is Mount Ronan, the back of the nature reserve that you will see later on. Probably some very good little campsites there. Very dry still at this time of year, that we haven't seen much water. And back out onto the road again, and heading towards the Great Southern Highway. This is the road between the lakes coming up from Perth and York, and I'm now heading down towards towards Perth. Just going to turn into a place, I think it's called 13 Mile Creek. It's an old area that was used back in the 60s and 70s called by the Buffs, or Buffaloes, which was a local men's group. They held picnics here for the kids and sports days and things like that. I once found a 1930 penny when I was in here exploring. My wife remembers coming here as a kid for the picnics. They used to have ice cream and things. At the back of it's a part of the old York Road, the original road, and those days it was 17 mile an hour was the speed limit. There's still a lot of the cobblestone still left there. I don't think it's been ridden or driven on for a long time. Sadly, there is a bit of rubbish being dumped here into the car park. There's always some moron that thinks the world's their rubbish tin. And just followed the road down into the bush. Heading the other way, you go straight into a farmer's paddock. I had the bike fully loaded, just checking some new straps that I'd put on there and making sure everything sat perfectly. Just put on the folding mirrors and the bark busters as well. Nice and simple, but a little bit more protection there. This is the old creek crossing there. I'm not sure if there was actually a bridge there or not. I couldn't see any old timbers, but you can see where the rocks have been placed. Possibly it was just a ford across the river. Nice little spot when the water is flowing through later in winter, must return. Yeah, all man-made placement there. As I say, not much water at the moment. We're really a bit short on water. And it just goes into thick bush and I think disappears up into the farmland. So I would say this is the first motorbike that's been ridden down this road in a long time. Makes me feel rather historic, really. A small piece of history. And yeah, into the paddocks. So heading back out onto the road. Just turning into Mount Observation. Again, this is only just a few kilometres up the road towards Perth. Great picnic spot. Lots of four-wheel drivers use this area to get out into the Mundaring Strait Forest, where you can go all the way across to the Brookton Highway. And for dirt bikers, yeah, great spot. Adventure riders, there's lots of places to camp. There's a drop toilet in this area, and you can actually get a vehicle in here quite easily, although I wouldn't recommend bringing large caravans in if anybody's so inclined. It's a bit of a tight squeeze to turn around at the other end. A lot of people come here for bushwalks and bird watching. Barbecue's all set up, and there's tables and chairs here as well. Getting into lunchtime, so this was my destination. I wanted to try out a little campfire that I'd brought, a little wood stove. Bought it off eBay, I think it was about $12 or $15, and just an alternative from gas. It'd be ideal if I ran out of gas to have this with me. It folds up flat, you fit it in your pocket. The views out behind, looking back towards Perth, are spectacular from up here. I come back for the wildflowers. As I say, I had the bike fully loaded, just testing some straps out. It didn't come with a rack to sit on the top of it for smaller items, so I just found a little piece of mesh which I made my own. But 4 sides and a base quickly slots together once you've got a little bit of practice with that. But as I say, the whole kit fits in your pocket. It does come with a little tray as well that you can put some other sort of materials in there if you've got some tablets or something like that. Campbell's Chunky Beef Stroganoff. Just used some very small twigs that I found lying around the fireplace that would have been discarded or used for kindling. Didn't take long, about within 10 minutes I had it boiling away. Nice and contained the fire, and there we go. So it was a bit watery. I probably could have added a few more mushrooms to it, but it still made the liquid at the end made a nice soup. And if I had some bread to dip in it, that would have been ideal. And the big logs there, tables and chairs that have been set up. Very peaceful spot. I'm so lucky to have these spots here in Western Australia. Watching videos from all around the world where people have to pay to go into parks or book ahead, I really couldn't handle that. Here we can just take off and you can ride all day without seeing anybody sometimes. There's kangaroos, emus and some wild pigs still in the forest here. We don't have koalas in Western Australia, they're over east, but the bird life is quite prolific as well. Back out on the road, heading back towards York now. This is St Ronan's Well. It's a place, when they first started coming up into the wheat belt from Perth a couple of hundred years ago, this was a stop for the bullock teams, sometimes 20 to 30 teams here. And it would be an overnight stop, and obviously they dug wells all the way from Perth all the way up. This is one of the existing ones. It's quite a big reserve here. You can go for a ride around. There's a track that goes all the way around, and there's some nice little spots in the back that might be worth investigating if you want to tuck in for a night. I wouldn't be drinking this water at any time unless you're desperate to use it for your radiator. There are some little natural fish in there. They're only about an inch long. They're native to Western Australia. Very hard to fill it at that size. There's still part of the original stone wall just down in front of me here. There's a few different myths and stories of how St Ronan's well got its name. Some say it was from a book that was left and found there years ago, and the book was either Saint Ronan or about Saint Ronan, but there are some other stories. The next spot is a bit of a junk pile. It was known to be a hippie commune. I'm not going to give out the location because it's not really a place to go into. It was just interesting. I've passed it 100 times and wanted to have a quick look. There's no real relics there worth scavenging or worth a few any dollars. I think it's been well stripped out years ago. There's a couple of big water tanks and a big dam there. And just heading back into York now. This is the tree that somebody's been slowly decorating. It's become quite a landmark and something to see. It had a dead branch sticking out the front that looked like a nose, and since then there's been bow ties, eyes, ears and a hat, even with corks added to it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe if you feel like it.